Yo, what's good? It's the Scaladayo, and I'm here with this UFC Fight Night Brunson versus Machida analysis and predictions. I'm gonna be doing all 6 fights on the main card. Now, I'm really looking forward to this card. This is a really good card, really good fight night with lots of good matchups. All right, the first fight is John Lineker versus Marlon Vera. Now, you have John Lineker. He's coming off that loss to TJ Dillashaw, where I think he got his jaw broken in that fight. And you got Marlon Vera coming off a first round submission of Brian Kelleher. That was a little bit of an upset. So Marlon Vera, he's gonna try to get into this top 10 rankings by beating John Lineker. But yeah, I think he's gonna be a heavy underdog in this fight because John Lineker is extremely tough, constant pressure, constantly moving forward, has hands of stone like his nickname says, and he has an iron chin. So he's a very difficult person to fight. Marlon Vera, I think his best path to victory is gonna be trying to get this fight to the ground. Cause I think if this fight stays standing up, and Marlon Vera can't get it to the ground, I see a knockout for John Lineker pretty early. You know, so I think Marlon Vera, he's a heavy underdog, and I have to go with John Lineker by knockout in this fight. All right, for the next fight, this is a really good matchup. I'm looking forward to Thiago Santos versus Jack Hermanson. Both been on pretty good win streaks. You have Thiago Santos, he's ranked number 15, and Jack Hermanson. This is a really good matchup. Both are really good strikers, both pretty powerful. I think Jack Hermanson is a more well-rounded fighter. I think he has more paths to victory. He can win this fight standing, or he can take the fight to the ground and win there. But Thiago Santos is extremely powerful on the feet, very dangerous, and really good takedown defense as well. So yeah, this is gonna be a really good fight. As for my prediction for this fight, I have to give the slight edge to Thiago Santos. I think he's slightly more powerful on the feet, and I think he'll be able to use his takedown defense to keep it standing. So I'm gonna go with Thiago Santos in this fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Hermanson gets it done as well. He's been on a really good tear. The next fight we have Francisco Trinaldo versus Jim Miller, two veterans. Francisco Trinaldo, his last fight, he lost to Kevin Lee, and Jim Miller, I think he came off a loss to Dustin Poirier, so they're both looking to get back in the win column. Francisco Trinaldo, very good kickboxer, very powerful on the feet, so you have to be wary of his power. You know, he had Kevin Lee hurt a few times, 2 or 3 times he had Kevin Lee hurt in that fight. So he's very dangerous. And you have Jim Miller, you know, he's very well rounded, good striking, good wrestling, good jiu-jitsu. You know, he's a long-term veteran. You know, he's always going to give you a tough fight. In this fight, I have to go with Francisco Trinaldo. I just think he's a better striker, and he'll be able to keep this fight standing where he's comfortable. For Jim Miller, I think his best path to victory is to make this as much of a mixed martial arts fight as possible. Use his striking to set up his wrestling, use his wrestling to set up his striking, and just keep Francisco Trinaldo guessing, you know, keep him on his toes. But I have to go with Francisco Trinaldo. I just think he's a better striker, and I think the fight is going to take place mostly on the feet. For the next fight, a very good underrated matchup here, you have number 12 ranked Pedro Munoz versus the number 13 ranked Rob Font. Now you have Pedro Munoz. They're both 14-2, I noticed. But you have Pedro Munoz. He's a pretty well-rounded fighter. Good striking, very good kicks, decent wrestling, really good jiu-jitsu. If you show your neck, he's gonna jump on the guillotine really quick. You know, that's his go-to move. And you have Rob Font, who's a very talented striker. I think his only loss is to John Lineker in the UFC. So they're both looking to move up in these rankings in this budding 135-pound division. I think for Pedro Munoz, the path to least resistance is to get this fight to the ground. I see that Rob Font has only 20% takedown defense. You know, I don't know if that's a low sample size or if his takedown defense is just that bad. But I think Pedro Munoz, he should want to take this fight to the ground and use his jiu-jitsu in this fight. And I think Rob Font, he's going to want to keep this fight standing. So I see Pedro Munoz being aggressive, looking for the takedown in this fight. Rob Font, he's gonna want to keep it standing. I think he's the better striker overall, even though Pedro is a pretty good striker himself. But I think Rob Font is more talented, more power on the feet. So as far as my prediction, this is a very close fight. Like, I can definitely see this fight going either way, but I want to pick Rob Font in this fight. I just think I think it's gonna take place on the feet, and I think Rob Font will be able to win the striking exchanges in this fight. All right, for the co-main event, this is a very, very intriguing matchup itself. You have number 3 ranked Damian Maia versus the number 8 ranked Colby Covington. Now, Damian Maia, he's coming off the title fight loss to Tyron Woodley, and you have Colby Covington. He's coming off a win against Dong Hyun Kim. So I think this is a very good opportunity for Colby Covington if he can beat Damian Maia, because Damian Maia is extremely difficult fight. Extremely difficult fight. This is going to be interesting to see how Colby approaches this fight. Because in his previous fights, he's just been a grinder, like a constant, relentless wrestler. He averages 7 takedowns a fight. So it's going to be interesting to see what his strategy is against Damian Maia, a fighter who wants to take the fight to the ground. He lives for the grappling. So we all know what Damian Maia is gonna do, regardless of Colby Covington's pedigree in wrestling. He's gonna want to take this fight to the ground, use his jiu-jitsu and just strangle you. But I think Colby Covington in this fight, he's gonna try to use his wrestling defensively in this fight and try to win the striking exchanges on the feet. Colby Covington, I think he said he's gonna knock out Damian Maia in the first round, but I don't really see that happening. I think if he can keep it standing, he should win this wrestling. He should win the striking exchanges on the feet. And I think that is his path to victory. And Damian Maia, we already know what he's gonna try to do. So as for my prediction, I'm gonna go with Damian Maia in this fight. I think Damian Maia is gonna get the submission first or second round. I see Colby Covington getting sucked in to the grappling. I see Damian Maia being aggressive with the grappling, and Colby, he's gonna go to his instincts, I think, and he's gonna engage Damian Maia in his grappling exchanges, and I think he's gonna get caught. So I'm predicting the first or second round submission for Damian Maia. Now on to the main event. We have the number 7 ranked Derek Brunson versus the returning Lyoto Machida. Lyoto, he's coming off, I think, a 2-year suspension. So it's going to be interesting to see how he bounces back from that. Derek Brunson, he just got right back on track after those 2 losses to Robert Whittaker and Anderson Silva. I think this fight is Derek Brunson's to lose. I think his Achilles heel has been his fight IQ, because he has all the tools to be a major contender in this division, but I think his fight IQ has held him back. So this fight is going to come down to, how he approaches the fight and how smartly he fights. I think he has a really good left hand, very, very powerful and very accurate with that left hand. And I think he can knock out Lyoto Machida. I think he can, or he can use his wrestling. He has a distinct wrestling advantage in this fight, and I think he could use his wrestling too and win this fight that way. And Lyoto Machida, he's gonna want to catch Derek Brunson coming in, because Derek Brunson, he comes in very strong, very aggressive, and that can get him caught against a fighter like Lyoto Machida. If he's not careful, Lyoto Machida will catch him coming in and knock him out. Lyoto Machida, he's gonna want to defend the takedowns, keep this fight standing, and catch Derek Brunson with a counter coming in. As for my prediction, I predict Derek Brunson wins this fight by knockout. I think Lyoto, the layoff and find a fighter of this caliber, I think is a little too much, given his layoff, and he's a little older now. So I think Derek Brunson wins this fight by knockout. I'm gonna say first round. That's a bold prediction, but I think Derek Brunson gets the knockout in the first round of this fight. All right, so y'all can go ahead and tell me what y'all think. Comment, like, subscribe if y'all want to. I'll be doing all the UFC fight cards. Peace and salute.